I've noticed that as well. I've seen people like starting, not necessarily like you say, not necessarily Arteta out, yeah, but like some Arsenal fans who have been a big backer of him, not switch sides to Arteta out, but just saying, hang on a minute. Yeah, I mean, how long is this really going to take? It's probably going to be another season this year without a trophy. Probably. You could win the Champions League and you could win the Premier League. Unlikely, in my opinion. So that's another year without silverware. How much money are you going to be spending in the summer? If we don't win anything next year, how long does this game go on for before people stop and go, hang on a minute? Yeah. I'm willing to back this manager and I backed him for a long time, but there's got to be a cut-off point. There has to be. You can't just carry on year after year after year backing a manager if he doesn't win you anything. At some point, you've got to go. And you don't have to get toxic with it. You don't have to be like, get him out of it. You can be like, listen, happy for what he's done. Thank you for the couple of mint title races. We almost did it. Thanks for the FA Cup. Thanks for getting us challenge again. However, I think that you've taken us as far as possible. I think it's time for a change. You don't have to get toxic with it. But for me, I really think that if he doesn't win anything this year, I think that I'd be in Potts' camp where like I'd get rid of him and get a new manager. I think he's had ample opportunity. And the fact that he can't even get a domestic cup over the line is really, really poor. Yeah, I thought Arsenal were really, really poor. They looked out of ideas. It was just constantly just whacking balls into the box from crosses. Maguire was just eating them up easy every single time the ball came in the box. Maguire was like buzzing. There's me. Do you know what I mean? He probably loved it because everyone's talking about Maguire now.
Maguire.
Bro, everyone's talking about Maguire now, isn't it? So he's probably loving it. I just think I looked at a team in that game against United that just looked out of ideas. Yeah, couldn't change it with any subs. Any subs that happened didn't change the way they played, and you just didn't. You still felt like they were threat on corners, yeah, because they had super at that. But other than that, you really didn't look at them and saying they're going to score from open play here. So I think that's a real problem. I think part of the problem again comes back to the transfer window. It was a really, really poor transfer window for Arsenal. They needed a creative midfielder, yeah, because they've only got Odegaard, who's not a great creative player anyway. Look at his stats. They needed proper Saka backup, yeah, which they've not got. Sterling was okay, but he's not been trusted. They didn't get that. They need to upgrade that left wing position. And no Arsenal fans love Martinelli. He's not good enough to be starting week in, week out. I think there's question marks over Trossard, so you need a new left winger. I'd look at someone like Rafael, someone like that, someone who's pacey, strong, can take the game to the opposition. Yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks, and I think that it's weird because you might have looked at it and think at the start of the season, oh, they probably needed a couple of players. I'm looking at it now thinking they might need 5 or 6 new players here, top quality players. They've gone backwards. They've gone backwards on the pitch. The squad's going backwards. People are asking questions about Odegaard now, rightly so, because he dropped a stinker. Yeah, Rice, I think he looks lost on the pitch. Not saying he's a bad player. I just think he looks lost. I don't know what he's meant to be doing on the football pitch when I see him. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of question marks. And for me, I think if they don't win anything this year, if I was an Arsenal fan, I think I'd be asking for him to leave.
Listen, I hear what you're both saying. I said at the start of last season. I've said it this campaign. I was asked a question earlier on today on a different stream. Would I keep him this long at Manchester United? And my first response was no. And then I changed it to, well, he would probably still be there. In the sense of, I was thinking like it was the end of the season when I first said no. The first 3 years, he was helping the club build a team, build a squad, build a culture that could compete for league titles. That, for me, I would ring fence that. Your manager, my manager, anyone's manager, he did a very good job in getting you to that point. This season and last season, it's about assessing what he wins now. And one thing I'm starting to notice is I believe in the mentality. I believe the mentality in sport is the most important thing to focus on at the elite end of the spectrum. I think it's what separates those 4 losses that Man United had over the Christmas period from the last 2 weekends where we've got good results and good performances away at better teams. There was a mentality shift, and a lot of that was generated through actually having a week in training and learning. But we went into those games and we worked harder. We didn't give up, and I saw a difference. I'm starting to wonder whether or not the more money that gets spent, the better the squad gets on paper, the more pressure on Arteta, the more pressure even on the players. Oh, we've got to win now, though. So you bring Zubimendi in. You sign Shesko or Gyökeres this month. You bring in Zubimendi in the summer. and then another creative midfield player, don't matter who, you go and get Verts, right? I know you probably won't get him, but just use him as the example. It's can that additional pressure then be handled and getting over the line? It's why I've never called someone like Pep a checkbook manager. I using the same logic when it comes to, Fergie always had money to spend. Do you understand the pressure that comes with being the favorite because you've had that money spent? People think it's easy. It isn't. The level of scrutiny you get when you've had money spent is, if Slot doesn't win the league this year, this is what the media is going to say. Yeah, but they didn't spend any money on him, did they? He'll be let off the hook. If they drop 300 million this summer, different narrative. The pressure is higher. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is definitely some questions to ask of Mikel Arteta. There's no doubt about it. I feel, though, when looking at Arsenal fans, a lot of it is about, I just really want to win the debate. Instead of Gunners during the rebuild process stating he's the right person for now, I agree he may not be the right person to get, and I'm talking like I'm an Arsenal fan here, to get us over the line, but I think we need him at this point. And that could have been 2021, you were saying this, right? Now you could get to a point and say, do you know what? He's taken this as far as he can. Let's move on. But I think there are two sets of Arsenal fans, very noisy, that are stuck in like an ideological battle. Some that never wanted him and some that have said he'll win us a lot and could become a great at the football club. And I almost feel like they're really noisy. 70% of the fan base is in the middle saying, I love what he's done for us. I've enjoyed the last few years, but I really want to start winning. Maybe he's got to move on. But you've got two groups. Some that when a bad result or two happens, they're on it. They're noisy. Look, it's their opinion. They're entitled to it. I'm not saying they shouldn't have it. And then if you win your next two games and Liverpool drop points tonight, it'll be a noise in the other direction. Don't ever question Mikel Arteta. We told you not to. Well, I sometimes feel like the discourse between fans, sometimes it's not about what's best for Arsenal. It's what I want to happen so I can say I was right. And I feel that fan conversations are so important for our football clubs, but not if they're self-serving, not if they're about you. It's got to be about the club. And I feel like it's right for Arsenal fans to question what he has done, but you can do that without disrespecting the fact that he's helped you get to this point where you're actually disappointed to not be winning league titles again, because you weren't there for a long time, Arsenal. If we're being honest, you had no hope of being in title races for many, many years. Yes, you were getting knocked out of competitions and stuff, but I don't think the disappointment was like now. Maybe towards the end of Wenger's reign, but that was because you knew you needed something new and it wasn't coming. So, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans don't want it to become like that for Mikel Arteta. You don't want it to become largely toxic. And I think the end of this season is so important for him and your team. And of course, spending money. I've seen some Arsenal fans say, I don't want him to get any more money. Well, you shouldn't. You should still sign good quality players. Zubimendi's going to work, whether it's Mikel Arteta or another manager. You should still be demanding.
That's what I don't get. I wouldn't give him any more money. Well, we're stuck then. Well, we're not going to get anyone then. Like,
yeah, what do you do?
What happens? I don't get that one. Look, no, I understand that people might not want Mikel Arteta long term. I understand that. I can understand and have sympathy for that. What I don't understand is there's a fan base. Arsenal have always had a fan base that can't unite. We're always going to have difference of opinions. The problem with Arsenal is it just seems more than other fan bases, although you have it in your other fan bases as well. It just seems more toxic and out there and all over social media than any other club. I can't understand. As someone who does a lot of content creating now, I look at the side of things, how things have changed over the years, and I think, wow, the amount of fingers that are pointing towards the direction of fans or AFTV are now being blamed again. They're the problem. I'll tell you what, that Turkish fella, he's an issue. That Turkish fella's an issue. What? Because we're not winning. The Turkish problem.
I thought everything he said was facts. I thought everything he said was facts.
Bro.
I agree with a lot of what he said, and I thought that the level of abuse I've seen him get is ridiculous. Equally, in the other direction, I don't think someone like Babs, who rates the manager, is equally a problem. I don't think that some people...
There's others out there. Yeah.
I feel like the biggest thing that needs to happen, the only time I think is a problem is if people are talking in a self-serving way. I want X to happen so I can say I'm right. Because I do think if fans put the right energy towards their club to make changes, I think clubs listen. And if enough people are thinking and saying it, there's a big chance they're right. There's a big chance they're correct and right. And I don't think Arsenal have an awful squad and are an awful team. As much as it's toxic right now, You are second in the league and third, I think, in the Champions League. I don't think a bad team sits there. However, that doesn't mean that criticism can't be applied, constructive criticism. But when it gets down the line of messaging a pregnant woman to say you wanted to have a miscarriage or you're going to come to the house and slaughter a baby, that stems from these two uber polarized groups who I don't think represent the vast majority of Arsenal fans. And I think that's where, as a club, you need to be. It's like this. I saw the great argument on AFTV. Have you given up? Yes. Well, don't come to the game. Don't tell me I can't come to games. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I wanted to scream. So I know that you're missing each other's points here. And an Arsenal fan has every right to say I've lost faith in this. I don't think it's going to work. Equally, I feel that if you're going to the games and you're not going to sing and show passion, you're not going to help. Like, you should be doing everything you can to help disprove.
No, but I know, because I saw that interview, and I think like the guy's basically just saying, I don't think we're winning fuck all this season. He's not. That's it. He's still going to turn up. He's still going to turn up to his to the game and watch the team if he's got a season ticket. I assume he had a season ticket by what he was saying. Yeah. The guy's like, well, why are you turning up then? Says, what sort of question's that? So if you're mid-table, if you're a Brighton fan stuck in mid-table, they're not going to win anything this year. They just not turn up. Every Brighton fan's probably sat there thinking
they haven't lost. But they haven't lost faith, though. I hear your point. I'm not saying you shouldn't go. I'm simply stating, I've heard a few Arsenal fans say this. There was a guy called into TalkSport speaking about the atmospheres being low and people. He's trying to encourage people around him to sing, and they're saying, I just don't believe in it anymore. I don't think it's going to work. That's where I go, well, it's definitely not going to work if you guys stop singing and encouraging them. I know it's hard. It's a little bit chicken and egg, but I only look at this from my point of view and perspective. I feel like I hope they don't do this because I don't want Arsenal to be successful. But I feel if Arsenal fans keep having flat atmospheres at the ground, you are more likely to see no trophies this season.
No, but I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, it's up to the players sometimes to get the fans going.
I agree with that too.
It's not just always up to the fans. Like, it's not always like the fans. Yeah. It's the fans' job. Hang on a minute. The fans are paying out their ass to turn up to the game in the first place. Arsenal fans are playing probably the highest amount of money in the country, and they play probably some of the worst football in the Premier League at the moment. They don't look like they're going to score a goal from open play. They're trying. They're also in this situation where a lot of them are coming to the realization that maybe this process that we've been on isn't actually going to yield the results that we want, i.e. trophies. And there's a negative feeling around. Saka's just got injured. Saka just got injured for 3 months. That's negative. There's a lot of negativity. On top of that, you've got Arteta coming out in press conferences basically saying, we're not going to side anyone. We're looking at in-house solutions. You've got Havertz missing chances from 3 yards. I'm sorry, right? I get that sometimes it's up to the fans. Sometimes the fans have to make the noise. But I look at Arsenal, and I completely understand why their fans are down. I understand why the atmosphere might be flat, because sometimes it's up to the players who get paid a lot of money to get the fans off the seats. And I guarantee you, and listen, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I guarantee you, if Arsenal put in a performance tomorrow against Spurs, or tonight or whatever it is, the fans in the next game, bang, they'll be right up for it. It's up to the players, man. They can't. The fans can't always carry the players.
I listen. I totally see that perspective and point of view. I suppose might listen. We all have a different outlook on life as well, and I'm someone that's always, no matter what I truly feel inside, I always encourage people to do better. I used to sit on the side coaching when I was part of Team GB, and I'd have a fighter on the mats, and I knew he wasn't going to win. I knew he wasn't going to. You could just tell. But I would still give him every bit of encouragement, still tell him he's going to win, still tell him he's doing the right things, because that's my approach. Equally, as a United fan, the amount of games I went to where it was very quiet and very and we're under Fergie playing good football, right? And it was quiet. And I'd sit there and I'd be in the Stretford. This is before I was in the Stretford end. It took me years to get one in the Stretford end. And I'd be sitting there going, come on, guys, let's encourage the team a little bit. Then we concede, and then suddenly we start encouraging the team, and we see the team's levels go up. So I suppose I'm looking at this from my experiences and my perspective. And I would used to sit in Old Trafford and think, if we had that same noise we had 2 weeks ago when Liverpool turned up, we ain't going to sit here flat for half an hour. Well, we're not going to find it difficult. And I've always just felt, sing for 90 minutes, home or away, win, lose or draw. I just always believe in doing that, irrespective of how good or bad my team is. However, I do hear your point. And if you feel a certain way, it's difficult. But I think the worst thing Arsenal fans can do now is concede defeat this season. I think it gives your players an out. I think it gives your manager an excuse. You should be. I'm just seeing a lot of talk. It's done now. It doesn't matter. It's all finished. It's all over. I don't necessarily think it is. I wouldn't want that message going into that dressing room in any capacity whatsoever. But look, Gooners, in the comment section, let us know what you think. We're going to go to some of your comments.